In this video, I just want to talk about the effects of bullying. Now, I was the victim of severe, intense, repetitive bullying throughout secondary school, all the way throughout secondary school. And trust me, this leaves a deep imprint on the mind, heart, and soul. Now, admittedly, the kids, the bullying was most severe around 13, 14, 15. Obviously, kids are immature. They have a lot to learn. And I was singled out because I was very unfortunate to have stayed back a year when I was 12 years of age, and I was basically at that time in the C grade class, and when I stayed back a year they put me into the A class, and I was rather naive and not a bright kid at all. I was somewhat stupid in truth, for the class that is, and basically I was persecuted miserably in that class. I was bullied so severely. I mean, really a lot of extreme abuse and major bullying I was subjected to, and I basically became very messed up because of it. It was unfortunate that being kids, I was stigmatized by the fact that I was suffering from all this bullying. I was very stigmatized. I would not open up about it. I did not tell my parents. I told nobody outside those that were aware of it in my class. And trust me, I should have been plucked out of that class completely and put in another environment, another school, preferably, without a doubt. I should have been taken out of that class. But fact is, I was too naive about life. I did not open up and tell my parents what I was going through. It's unfortunate. But anyway, you go through this shit. I did get on top of things in the end. But trust me, I did develop a lot of mental health problems because of that bullying. You know, it has trust me, it has an effect on the mind, heart, and soul. And I became like as I progressed through secondary school, I started to develop a nervous disorder in class. Anytime I was selected to read in front of the class, I would become like intensely nervous. My voice, when everybody reading in the class, in anticipation of reading in class, I'd have sweat dripping down the back of my neck in anticipation of having to read in front of the class. When I'd have to read, my voice be trembling, truly trembling. As I said, look, I developed these nervous disorders. I was starting to suffer from depression. I had a lot of anger issues, intense anger. I had explosive anger. But fact is, we all put up with shit in life, and I should have engaged in therapy a lot sooner than I did. And because of stigma, I didn't reach out for a therapist soon enough, a psychiatrist. It wasn't until I was 22 that I actually went out and sought out therapy. I started seeing a psychiatrist. I was suffering from severe, intense depression. It was hellish depression, awful depression. I was developing a lot of mental health problems, intense anger, explosive anger. I was a very angry individual. I was a man full of hatred and contempt towards the world. But anyway, the fact is, we all put up with shit in life. And the reason I want to post this video is I have to encourage people, when you're going through, no matter what you've gone through in life, every emotional problem, mental health problem can be healed, but you have to reach out for help. You go see a therapist, see a psychiatrist. There's plenty of help out there. Look, as I said, before I went into therapy, I was a man full of hatred and contempt. But when I got into therapy, I changed and became a much more well-balanced, compassionate individual, and a much more caring person, a much better, more constructive member of society. I truly can't encourage other people to reach out for help and get the therapy you need, because trust me, it will transform your life. It will set you up to be a much more balanced person, a person who can appreciate life a lot more. But you have to reach out for help. Look, I'm just saying, look, when I went through therapy, and like I said, I was deeply disturbed before I went into therapy, deeply disturbed. I hated life so much. I was severely depressed, severely suicidal. I hated life. I hated the world at large, society at large. I had no time for the place. I wanted out. But that all changed when I went into therapy. It didn't happen overnight. Didn't happen in a couple of sessions. It was more of a few months down the line, a couple of years down the line, things started to really move in my favor.